How am I gonna plug it in? I clearly have never done a live, have I? Oh God, we're gonna say,
nobody will notice.
Hello!
She's here waving at us, but I'm sure she's going to bail soon.
I am sure she's going to leave us at some point.
She's not keeping.
I'm looking at my hair while there isn't too many people online already. Okay. Is my hair okay, Cecile?
Yes, it is. You're lovely.
Thank you, darling. That's such a nice thing to hear.
How do we compliment people in a polite and British way?
You look lovely tonight, darling.
You look lovely, darling.
Wonderful.
All right, cool.
How wonderful.
Hey guys.
Oh my goodness, you're getting people there.
Let's keep code switching, okay? Let's code switch Portuguese, English. Hi, Rebecca's here with us.
Hi, Rebecca. I'm going to try my best with my British accent today, Rebecca. So,
right. Guys, say hi here. Tell us if the volumes, the voices are okay. And in case you are top way students, please tell us, let us know if you are a book 1 student, a book 2 student, a book 3 student. In case you are from top way staff, tell us where you're from. If you're from Santa Catarina, Paraná, Rio Grande do Sul, let us know.
Wow.
And meanwhile, let's present the topic today.
Ooh, drum rolls.
And the topic, let's see if it works. Let's see how long it takes.
Master. Hi.
There's a master student. Hi, Camila.
Hey, mate. Hey, mate.
Mike is here with us.
How you doing? Hi, my book one.
We have a book 1 student
from Santa Catarina. If I speak too fast, let me know, guys, okay?
Oh, hey, Chris. I have friends here. All right.
Yeah, my mom is there. Hi, Mom!
Mateus from Felix is here with us. Top way Cascavel, book 1. Good job.
Good job. Look at that. Book 3. Somebody master
student.
Master student. Good job.
Right. Well, Muri and I will speak English most of the time. But from time to time, we can code switch and speak Portuguese just to catch up, because since things go fast here, we have a lot to talk, so we don't want you guys to get lost, okay? So book 1 students, from time to time, we catch up in Portuguese if we need. I don't know. Maybe we don't need to speak
Maybe
Portuguese.
we don't. Guys will keep up with us. Top way
Or
is
maybe
somebody
if we
there.
have staff here, maybe they could help us, like explaining some vocabulary. Maybe go too fast.
Or they can ask questions if they don't understand, right?
Sure. Well, I'm gonna put some keywords here, and we go with that. I guess we are ready to start.
Let's do it.
If you are a top way student, let us know. If you are a book 1 student, a book 2 student, a book 3 student, or if you are not a top way student, you can tell us just a friend, just an
I feel like one of those flight attendants. 5 exits here, there.
Yeah.
Book 1, book 2, book 3.
Right. So, lovely people of Brazil, stay with us. Don't go to Belo's live. Vou falar português. Nada de ir pra live do Belo. Fica aqui.
I'm here. Hello.
Back to English. Okay, that's cool. Our live today.
Sorry.
Hi, Ju.
Yeah, she was a student. Yeah.
That it is. 12 things a Brazilian person needs to keep in mind when going to England. Do you guys understand the topic? 12 things a Brazilian person, so any of us, I guess, except Rebecca, but Rebecca should have this in mind too, must keep in mind. What is keep in mind, Muri?
Remember.
What is to remember? So 12 things we need to remember when going to England, when visiting England. But why do we have this topic, Muri? Have you ever lived in England?
Yes, I did. I lived in England for 7 years, actually, guys. I moved over there when I was 18 years old.
Whoa, long ago.
Not that long ago, Cecile. I knew you were going to
Long
crack that joke.
time ago,
I
right?
knew you were gonna say that. No, guys, not that long ago. I'm a spring chicken myself, you know. I spring chicken.
Oh,
That's very British
yeah,
to say.
very British to say. Tell me, did you speak English before you moved to England? How
I did
much
not.
English did you have, did you know before going to England?
Somebody said Harry Potter. When I moved back to Brazil, when I started teaching at Topway, people kept saying, please say Harry Potter, and made me say it 1,000 times. Harry Potter, Harry Potter. Anyway, okay, when I moved to England, guys, I didn't speak any English, okay? I was 18 years old, and I moved to a host family. I moved into a host family's home, and I didn't know how to ask for a glass of water. So I remember the feeling when somebody left me there and I was sitting on the bed in the bedroom thinking, I really want to speak to my mom right now, but I don't know how to ask for the phone. I really want to ask for a glass of water, but I don't know how to do that either.
A glass of water?
I didn't know where the bathroom was, so I couldn't ask for that either. So I sat on the bed and I cried. I cried my eyes out and I thought, oh my goodness, what have I done?
On your
But over
first day?
time, on my first day, I was petrified, as the British would say. A pot of butter for my mother. Sorry, guys.
Right. So, guys, did you understand? Was it too fast? Was it? I think it was okay, Muri. But let's keep students
If you
interacting.
understand, gives
with
me a
us.
hand up like that.
Yeah. So Muri didn't speak any English,
No.
anything, or almost anything.
Just my name. I could probably conjugate the verb to be. Yeah, because I had learned that at school. And I could say my name. My name is Muriel in English. And I could just about that and say I am, you are, he is, she is. That stuff. And that was
Right.
about it.
It's nice to remember. Maybe people are still coming in and didn't get the beginning. We are not focusing here in British English, American English. We are focusing on culture. Okay, Rebecca writing
I
the
could
books
say
on the
the
table.
books on the table.
Quite-
Good. Table, the
crazy.
goods on the table. Yeah, I could say
Well,
that.
Swelling did this. I think she understood everything you said, so
Cool
I guess
beans.
the pace is fine.
Cool beans, guys.
Boninho, my WhatsApp is disabled today, so because I always have a Boninho telling me things, so we are on our own today.
Today,
But
it's
no
just
problem. So
Let's
let's
do it.
see. 12 things Brazilians must remember when moving to England. The first thing is this. Here we go. Number 1, conversation topic, weather.
Weather. Everybody repeat, please.
Weather.
Weather.
Weather in
Weather.
British English, weather in American English, Canadian, Australia's weather too. Yeah?
Yes, guys. So basically, British people love to talk about the weather. Yeah. In England, it's not just something that we see in the movies. It actually rains a lot. Okay, so they don't get that much sunshine. The sun doesn't shine there very much. And at 4:30 in the afternoon, so at 4:30, it gets very dark in the winter. And the winter lasts for like 9 months. So British people are crazy about the weather. They talk about the weather a lot. They think about the weather. They in the morning when you turn on the television, the first thing that you hear is the weather channel. Everybody's looking at the weather, watching the weather channel. And it's usually something very, not very positive, upbeat, like us Brazilians, we like that, right? I remember turning on the television and hearing somebody say, oh, today we are going to have a miserable day. And they love to say things like, it's bloody cold today, innit? And so if you get stuck with topics to talk about, like you are in a lift, and you're going and it's it's awkward. You can say, oh, I wonder if it's gonna rain today. And that's enough to start a conversation with any British person. They will talk until the cows come home about the weather. They really like that.
So, guys, is a miserable day a good day or a bad day? bloody cold. Is it very cold or little cold? Cool, warm. Moody, you can explain because
Of
I don't know
course.
if people are getting on time and
Miserable.
we keep on
Yes.
waiting.
Miserable in English doesn't have the same connotation as in Portuguese. Miserable in a good tip. Miserable in Portuguese has to do with money, right? So if you are miserable, you don't have enough money. You don't have money.
In English, if you are a miser, you are also very tight.
Yeah, but miserable is usually like something very dark, very horrible. Yeah, so not very bright. Yeah, I'm miserable today. Oh, what a miserable day. It's like very dark, cloudy, there is no sunshine. A lot of the days in England are like that.
Very good. So miserable is something bad. And bloody cold. Bloody,
it's bloody
does it
cold.
like blood, like
Bloody
my
cold.
veins?
Well, if we go back to the origin of the word bloody, it's that, okay? But bloody is used to emphasize in British English. To say something like we would say very or a lot. But they say bloody cold.
Cool. Right. Good.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Do you guys check the weather channel or the weather forecast before when you wake up? Did you do that, Muri, nowadays?
I think if I'm planning on going somewhere, I do. But if not, if I'm just like in an ordinary day just to go to work, then I probably wouldn't. But if I'm planning a day out with my family, I'm gonna check the weather forecast to see if it's gonna rain or not. Yeah. And in England, I really don't know why they check the weather forecast because it's never right. You can have all the seasons in one day. Like it starts really beautiful and then all of a sudden it gets really cold and you have to run home, and it's just pointless. But they still love to talk about it.
To talk about the weather. Okay. Right. Move on. Second topic. Children have a bad time and teenagers are expected to work. What do you mean?
Like here in Brazil, usually children go to sleep at the same time as their parents, right? So the relationships here in Brazil are very much centered on the children. And in England, the children go to bed before their parents. So, for example, a child who is 5 years old will go to bed at 7:30, will go to bed at 8, tops. And then the parents have time to, drink some wine, watch series, what else? And work on the relationship. So the relationships in England are not so centered on the children. They're more centered on the couple.
Right.
And the teenagers are expected to work. I remember I lived with this British family, and the girl who lived there, she was 15 years old. And when she completed 15 years old, her parents looked at her and said, from now on, we will not pay for anything anymore. If you want to buy your clothes, if you want to go out with your friends, you have to pay yourself. We are not going to pay for anything else. And I was like, yes, I was like, oh my God, that's very harsh for a Brazilian, right? Brazilian people live with their families until they're like 50, yeah?
We rely on pocket money for, I don't know.
Exactly, and that's okay. No, when they are 15, they're expected to get a Saturday job and pay
for the house you live in because you don't own the house. The house is not yours, but it's your parents' house.
The house belongs to the parents, exactly. So you have to pay to be there.
All right. I think we have a question.
Yes.
I would like to know, what do you do currently in the UK? Are you studying, working?
I'm not currently
Are you in the UK, Moody?
I'm not currently in the UK right now. I came back to Brazil in 2012 when I started working at Topway. And I have been living in Pelotas since. And I work at Topway and for Topway in the pedagogical material. You probably will recognize me in the workbook videos if you have been watching your workbook videos.
Open your workbook and scan the QR code with your cell phone. But Moody, since teenagers are supposed to work in the UK and you were living there as a teenager decades ago, long time ago, did you work there?
Yes. I was allowed to work for 20 hours a week on my student visa. So I did all sorts of jobs. I worked as a waitress. I worked as a care worker. I took care of old people, people with learning disabilities, and that's when I started learning English. The first job that I got, I couldn't speak any English, and I got a job as a waitress. So I would serve food, the wrong food to people. Like I remember a blind couple came to eat, and I took the wrong food to the table, and they ate half of it because they were blind. And then the owner of the restaurant called me and said, "Oh my goodness, you gave the wrong food to them." And I was like, oh, but I couldn't understand half of the things that I was doing. And that's how I learned. I had been in England for only 3 minutes, like 3 months, and I already got a job as a waitress.
Wow.
So that's how I learned. I learned on the job, learning by doing.
Gosh, well, that's basically what students do at Topway, right?
Exactly.
But they don't get to serve people food and
the wrong food. Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
But they get to schedule their classes in the wrong day and then come to Topway, and actually their classes is in another day. Well, I went through all of that. It's part of the experience. It's nice.
That's okay. That's part of life. Right. Guys, you have any questions? Let us know. Please post your questions. Meanwhile, we move to the next topic. Number 3. They cook only what's necessary and they plate the food for you.
Exactly.
What do you mean? They cook only what's necessary and plate is an action. Is plate a verb?
Put the food on the plate is plating the food for you, serving the food. Yeah. So, you go to a Brazilian house, they probably put the food on the table and everybody just helps themselves. I go and I choose what I want to eat and I plate my food. I put the food on the plate. In England, they plate. Exactly. In England, they plate the food for you, and you are actually supposed to eat what is given to you because they only cook what's necessary. They don't like to waste food. English people are very aware of resources, so they don't like to waste food, water, anything that's necessary for you to live. They don't waste. They are very careful with food. Yeah, I think, and according to my research, it's to do with war times. They had to keep a lot of food in the house, and they couldn't really go out to buy much food. And if you think about now, right? We are kind of living a situation where we think sometimes, are we going to have food in the supermarket or not? And they kept a lot of food at home and they only cook what's necessary. So they don't cook more than what's necessary. So they put the food on your plate. I was a very fussy eater. Very, very, very fussy eater. Terrible. I didn't like vegetables. I wouldn't eat salad. I didn't like any of this stuff. So every time they plated the food for me, I was like eating my food and thinking, oh my God, I don't want to eat this. But I had to get used to it. And I learned. And now I know how to eat everything. I can eat anything now. So this is a good thing now.
And what if you felt hungry after eating what they served, what they plated?
Probably you would go to bed hungry because you would have to have your own food stuck somewhere. Yeah? Because they cook exactly the amount that's necessary for that meal. So there is no leftovers. Yeah, they don't. You know that in Brazil, if there is leftover, they eat in the next day, right? Here there is no leftover.
Leftover. Is it hyphenated?
Leftover? No.
No.
Only if you're gonna make it an adjective, leftover food.
No. All right.
Yeah.
So there is no repetition of your
no
eating.
Second helping. You can help yourself again. No second helping. And usually, yeah. Sometimes they'll cook a little bit more.
But did you used to go to bed like hungry many times a week?
I didn't because, like I said, when I was younger, I was a fussy eater. So my trouble wasn't with not having enough, was with having to eat what was plated for me. I looked at the food and I was like, I don't want to eat this. And for me, it was very, very hard.
You have just made this question. Thank
Yeah,
so.
you asked the question that you do.
But I like because Julio has written it in a very nice way. So it is a one-serving dinner. What if you want a second helping? Here,
There is
helping
no second
as
helping.
serving yourself.
Yes,
so that's the meaning of helping yourself,
No.
is to serve, to plate yourself the food, which is something really common here in Brazil.
Very common. And in Brazil, we're proud ourselves. We're proud ourselves. There is a lot of food. There is a lot of helpings. Have more. And it's just different. One thing that I learned about culture is that there is no bad or good. It's just people's experience in life. They impact on the culture. The experience we are having right now is impact on our culture. So the culture, the British culture has been directly impacted by the war times. So they have that background of the war. Am I speaking too fast now, guys? Sorry. I got a bit carried away now. If I speak too fast, you tell me. Okay.
If you realize that, just pace it a little lower.
It's just different. It's just different. So don't expect to go to a British house and actually plate your food.
Oh, because number 4 is politeness. I think you can summarize it, because we all know, I guess, that British people are very polite.
I would say they are the politest people in the world. Don't you agree, Rebecca? The Canadian people are very polite too, so they have this thing. They are so polite that they can't even discuss it. Who is more polite? I will use it when I feel like it. You have to say please at McDonald's, when you get on the bus, any time, all the time. And thank you too.
And what about other versions of thank you? Sometimes they don't say the word thank you.
They say cheers. Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate. Ta. They say ta too. Did you know that? Ta.
Yeah.
Ta.
Ta. So ta, just like Professor Girafales, ta, ta.
Yeah, maybe not shouting, but they do. They do it. Say, oh, ta, mate. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Without this TV, thanks a lot.
And what about the overuse of the word sorry?
They say sorry a lot. Like if they are walking by you in the street and they don't even touch you, just walk near you. Sorry. So personal space is something very important to British people, whereas Brazilian people don't think that personal space is much a big deal, right? We get close to each other a lot. Yeah.
And I reckon it was a very big culture shock, wasn't it?
It was. Do you know why it was? Because sometimes people see you as not polite, and actually it's not like you're being rude. You're just being Brazilian. So, for example, I was learning English. I couldn't speak properly. So I wrote the name of a city that I wanted to go to. I got on the bus and I said to the bus driver, Chichester. And he looked at me and said, please. And I'm thinking, what am I saying wrong? And then I repeated again, Chichester, with a more British accent. And he was like, please? And then I realized he wanted me to say, Chichester, please. And then he gave me the ticket. Like I was on the bus, I could hardly speak English. It was my second day in England, but still, he made me say please. So sometimes we can be seen as rude, and really, it's just our culture. We will say little when we want to be polite. Yeah, I give me a little of this, and we are being polite. Whereas in England, please, thank you, and sorry must be part of your vocabulary all the time. All the time.
Julie shared something with us. When I went to England, I was always afraid of not being polite enough.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
and the thing
it's something good to worry, I guess, right?
Yes,
because we are not in our country, we are in their country, so we need to keep in mind to respect people the way they think, they expect to be respected.
And there is that thing that London is a bit different from the rest of England, right? It's a touristic place.
Sure.
So they are used to
Cosmopolitan.
they are used to different cultures. Whereas if you go to a small town, like I lived in the south of England, they look, in Scotland, people are very polite too. They are very polite too. Yeah. So if you go to a small town, then they definitely they are more British in that sense of the politeness being something totally attached to your culture. And if you are not as polite as them, they see that as something quite rude. They might even refuse to serve you. Like at McDonald's, they might not serve your burger if you don't say please. And I've seen that happen.
Wow. That's hard. And yes, share more. So you didn't speak English, or you were learning to speak English.
Yeah.
Very worried about putting your message across and dealing with culture shock. Were you like impolite at times? What
Many
did you
times.
do wrong?
This bus time is one that I always remember. Another one is when I memorized one Big Mac, please. So I said please, and I was like, yes, let's buy a Big Mac. And it was cheap in England, so I was like, yay, one Big Mac, please. And then the guy looked at me and he said, anything else? And I was like, what is that? Anything else? What does he mean? And I kept thinking, the only thing I memorized is one Big Mac, please. So I looked at him, he smiled and said, one Big Mac, please. Because that's the only thing I could say. I didn't know what anything else meant. And I just kept repeating until he gave me the burger. And then I sat down and I thought, he wanted to offer me fries and a drink. And I was thinking I wanted a drink, but I was too afraid to go back there and ask
Affect
for one.
the future. Yeah.
Exactly.
Very high.
Exactly.
Sure.
I was scared. I was like,
And what about greeting? I guess it's another topic, right? Greeting
yes,
people.
number 4.
Yes, 11. So let's keep it to when we get there. Moving on. Number 5 here with us. Okay, food time. Lunch is just a sandwich, and barbecues are burgers and sausages in a bun. So lunch, midday meal, right?
Exactly.
Lunch is just a sandwich.
Exactly. You go to expect rice and beans and the main meal, but it's not the main meal. At lunchtime, people usually have a half an hour break, and they quickly eat a sandwich and go back to work. So they don't usually spend time eating. I remember Rebecca saying that she thought it was interesting that people took time to sit down and eat here in Brazil at lunchtime.
We Brazilians, we eat,
Exactly.
we gather, or even with our workmates.
Yeah.
We do it with some nice
it's a time of
quality
fellowship.
time.
Exactly. Whereas in England, it's just something you get over and done with, to get back to work and to finish work at 5. So you get home earlier, and at 6 p.m. on the dot, usually, you have dinner. And that's when you have your main meal.
At 6 p.m.
At 6 p.m. So people get home very early because it gets dark at 4:30. So at 5:30, they go home and they have a main meal, their dinner.
And barbecues are burgers and sausages in a bun.
So I remember the first time I was invited to go to a barbecue, and I was like, yes, picanha, vem em mim. I kind of thought, yeah. And then I got there, and there was no picanha. And I was like, where's the food? Where's the meat? And they said, yes, round.
Beauty.
So I was expecting like picanha. And then I got burgers, and I was like,
Many people use the word barbecue when speaking. Many Brazilians speak barbecue while they are meaning to say churrasco.
Yeah.
I don't. It's up to each speaker. I don't say barbecue for churrasco because barbecue is barbecue, churrasco is churrasco.
And if you go to London, in the churrascarias are called churrascarias. They are not called barbecue places. They are called churrascaria because they know it's different. They realize that. So
the pronunciation might be interesting.
A churrascaria, probably.
Churrascaria.
Churrascaria, to drink caipirinha.
You said you were 18 when you were there many decades ago, long time ago, right? Before the invention of the smartphone.
It was before the invention of smartphone.
Yeah, I told you many years ago.
Thank you.
And what did you get for your birthday while being there?
Greeting cards.
Oh, really?
No.
So number 6, they love greeting cards. What is, first of all, what is greeting?
Greeting is hi, yeah, but greeting card is any kind of card they give to you in celebrations. But in Brazil, you usually get a card, maybe. You don't really, right? Do you give anybody a card? I don't think these days we do. But in England, they have this big shops.
Videos, messages.
Exactly. In England, they have these big greeting card shops. And the cards are amazing. They're like full of glitter. They pop up. If you open them, they pop up. And they give it to you if you pass your driver's test. If you are unwell, if you're not feeling well, they give you a greeting card. Christmas, Easter, if you get married. So for anything that you can think of, possibly think of, you get a greeting card. And for Christmas, yes. And there was a funny story because I thought my English teacher was very friendly. I haven't told you this one, Cecile. She was very friendly. So I got her a greeting card because I thought I'm going to be British here. I want to say to her that she's friendly, she's nice. She only spoke English. She didn't speak Portuguese, my English teacher. And I was like, I'm going to say to her that she is friendly. So I bought this greeting card saying with sympathy. Because I thought she was very sympathetic. In my it's the false friend, yeah. I wanted to say, now I can speak Portuguese, right? I wanted to say simpática, but the word for simpática in English is friendly, yeah. You will only use sympathy in England when somebody dies.
Yeah.
So you say with sympathy, I'm sorry that you lost somebody, I'm sorry. And she got that greeting card and she opened it. I could see she looked at me, Muri, what did you want to say? And I said, you are a very nice teacher. I like you. And she's like, wow. She laughed really loudly. I was like, oh my God, I don't think I had ever heard she laughing that hard. And I was like, what's wrong? No, you give this sort of card for people who die and to their relatives. Sympathy is when somebody dies. So
and you feel sorry for the person, for the other, in many reasons.
You feel sympathetic towards them, so you feel their pain. So yeah, it was.
Guys,
but she loved it.
Students,
she loved it.
Sympathy não é simpatia.
Okay. We say friendly.
Yeah. You're
like
just
Teacher
nice.
Cecile. Teacher Cecile is a friendly person.
Yes, I am.
That's like that, right? Not a sympathetic. Yeah. Maybe he's sympathetic too, but
I am. So, being there, you had always to look at the time because punctuality is essential.
Exactly. You know, when you get to a friend's house and I had a reverse culture shock experience. When I came back to Brazil, I went to a friend's house and I arrived there to have dinner at night. And I thought, okay, dinner is served when you arrive at the house. And I arrived on time. She said 8 o'clock. I was there at 8 o'clock. And she was sitting down drinking chimarrão. And I thought, maybe dinner is in the oven, right? And we carried on, drinking chimarrão and talking. At 10 p.m., she got up and she started to cook dinner. And by that time, I was like really hungry, starving. And I realized, okay, I'm back to Brazil now. She didn't expect me to be there at 8 p.m. sharp. Sure. She said 8. She expected me at 9, not 8. So it took me a while to get used to Brazilian culture again. I had become quite British in that sense. They arrived exactly on time. Not 2 minutes before, not 2 minutes after. If they arrive before, they wait in front of your house until the time. I've seen that. I was looking out of my window thinking, why doesn't he knock on the door? Looking at his watch. Okay, it's time. So they are very,
they
very
would be there
punctual.
on time.
On time.
Yeah.
Just like the cell, on time.
Of course. Today and last Thursday, on time.
On time.
Right. Still at the table, you have to worry about table manners.
Exactly.
What do you mean?
Table manners are very important.
Can I keep my elbows on the table while I'm
Not polite. They don't care that much. For example, would you consider okay if I blow my nose at the table?
since you had a proper
Tissue?
napkin or tissue, sure.
In England, it's very common for people to blow their noses. And for me, it was very weird the first time I was there. I was like, why don't they go to the toilets to blow their noses?
Sure. Yeah, I think I wouldn't mind, but maybe some people would. So.
For me, it was very strange. So for them, it's very common to blow their noses at the table. No problem. One thing that I made a mistake is after everybody eats, usually there is pudding. Yeah, there is dessert.
Uh-huh.
And the person who is plating the dessert, who is serving the dessert, gives you your dessert, your pudding. And you are not supposed to start eating it until everyone has got their pudding.
So if it's ice cream which melts,
you have to wait.
none of my
Everybody has
business.
to
You
wait.
have to wait. It melts a
Exactly.
bit.
Exactly.
Gosh.
Do you know why that is? Because the person who is serving the food can then sit down, relax, and eat together with the guests.
So everybody must eat together.
Yes, I remember the first time I got my pudding, I was like, here, pudding is my favorite part. Okay, I love pudding. And I was like, let's eat my pudding! And then I lifted my eyes up, and everybody was looking at me. And I asked my boyfriend, why is everybody looking at me? And he's like, you're not supposed to eat yet. And I'm like, why not? I got it, it's mine. And
You
he's
have
like,
to wait.
Wait until everybody's got theirs. So,
Gosh. And do they plate the guests first, just like in Brazil?
yes, they do. The food
And you have
first.
to wait.
Yes, you have to wait.
So guys, important tip for you. Wait.
And observe what other people are doing. Like,
But since you get plated first, yeah,
exactly. I did.
it's a trap.
In my defense,
It's a trap, Bino.
in my defense, I did.
Sure, of course.
I looked very rude, like, oh my goodness, she's starving. She can't wait a little bit.
Every Sunday when my mother plates ice cream for the children first, and then for the adults, and then for herself, children repeat before she finished serving us, you know.
Exactly. That's why we have to wait. And it makes sense
Plating
because
everybody, like, and then
they are so thoughtful, British people, in my view. Like, they think of the person who is actually plating the food. Nobody thinks of the mother in Brazil. The mother is just there to serve you. Crying mother here. But there in England, they think the mother must eat too. So she must sit down with us. They are very thoughtful.
That's cool. Nice word. Nice vocab.
Thoughtful.
All right.
With the British accent.
Well, here in Brazil, it's not common for guests to wash the dishes. Do British people share the
That's okay. They are okay with that. Yeah. Usually the people that I went to their houses, they were fine with sharing the dishwashing.
Yeah. So you would wash a dish.
Yeah, no problem. I could offer if they wanted me to do so. They would ask. But usually there are drinks after, like you have coffee, you have chocolate. Everybody sits down. Dinner parties in England are an event. When somebody invites you to eat at their house, they don't just invite you out of the blue. It's an event. They prepare starters sometimes, main course and pudding, and then there is cheese platter afterwards and cocktails, and it's a whole thing. Okay, you start at 6 o'clock sharp, but you go on. It's nice.
It's an event.
It's an event. It's not just let's have dinner and then that's it.
Right, right. And then after you eat, nature calls you
Nature calls.
to give it back to nature, you know.
Oh God.
And then you got to the toilet, and there was no bin.
No
There was
beds in the toilet.
Trash can.
Trash can. Trash
Yeah.
can is American. In
I
British
know.
English,
There was
we
no
say
bins in
bin.
the toilet.
Exactly. No bins in the toilet to put the toilet paper in. So you have to put the toilet paper in the toilet. So now I'm going to speak to my mom because I know she's here. Maybe she won't understand. Mom, I'm sorry. Every time I came to Brazil, I clogged her toilet. Do you guys understand clogged? Because I forgot that you were not supposed to put the toilet paper inside the toilet. So every time I came to Brazil, I wouldn't put my toilet paper in the bin. I would put it inside the toilet. And my mom would go, Mori, you clogged my toilet again. She lives in an apartment, and in a block of flats. And
Entupiu a patente.
entupiu
So your
a
mother could
patente.
Yeah.
Muriel, esqueceu de
Entupiu o
botar
vaso.
papel no lixo de novo. Tu botou papel no vaso de novo, Coreia. Já te disse que isso aqui entope.
There she is.
Love you, mom.
say lovely things for Muri's mother if you with us.
Ai, poor
All
mom.
right, and then we have some British celebrations that you found strange at first.
I found it strange, but I found very lovely.
Ah, that's cool, a good thing. They remember and honor people, honor with a union. So they remember and honor
Honor.
people who sacrifice themselves.
Exactly.
What do you mean?
You know how people they
Just because yesterday it was a holiday. Tiradentes. Of course, there's a very crazy politics thing behind, but anyways, we honor that this injustice. It's my father's birthday as well, so
yeah, so it's a reason to
congrats,
celebrate.
Dad.
But people are more focused on having a day off, not on the actual
Yeah, sure.
celebration. In England, people don't take their freedom for granted. What does that mean? Like the freedom that I have today, somebody had to fight for it in the past. So British people value that. They appreciate the sacrifice that people made for them to be free during the war, during all the battles that the British people encountered during over time, yeah.
And
So
did.
they have big celebration, like there is firework day. And everybody goes to the garden and they have these big firework parties to remember a guy that saved the House of Parliament from being blown up in the sky. So remember the 5th of November. So this is something very important to them. They wear poppy seeds, yeah, they wear poppies to remember all the flower. It's a flower. So they do that to remember people who died for them to be free, to have the freedom that they have now, the lifestyle. So I thought that was very nice because we don't really think about that very much, right? You don't see people
what
going to the street
celebration
and
do we
going,
have?
Pedro Álvares
memory?
Cabral, thank you very much. Nobody wears
No,
like
we
Pedro Álvares
don't.
Cabral hat or something like that.
Like, on Independence Day, we have the parades.
Exactly.
Here in Rio Grande do Sul, even like at the same level or even bigger on September 20th for
We
Roupinhas Day.
do. We do for
But,
Roupinhas Day,
like,
even though we lost.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. But so, and the other holidays are pretty much religious, and
Exactly.
most people don't celebrate it in
Exactly.
any sense. Yesterday, there was no Tiradentes parade or celebration
No.
or memory or
Maybe
in
not even a
memoriam.
picture, yeah,
Yeah.
or a portrait.
So in England, they have many holidays in memoriam.
related to this. Yeah, in memoriam of people who died for them to have freedom of speech, quality of life, everything that they have now.
And people tend to think about it, celebrate it somehow.
They do. And in cool ways. I really like the fireworks one. It's my favorite.
Nice.
It's very beautiful.
Do you remember the date?
I think this is the fire. It's the maybe Rebecca will help me here, but it's the 5th of November, I think.
The 5th
It's
of November.
Guy Fawkes. Yeah, Guy Fawkes Day.
All right. Anyways, then we can later on add some notes to
Remember, the 5th of November. It's right. Yes.
Cool.
It's the right one.
Our 11th topic is back to saying hi, hello. And as Brazilians, we hug people, we kiss on the, actually we don't, most people don't kiss on the cheek. We touch the cheeks and we make smack sound. Mwah,
Smack sound.
mwah, but we don't actually kiss people.
No.
And
No.
when you got to England, did you kiss people on the cheek?
Yes.
Hi.
Yes. Again, two experiences, when I went and when I came back. When I went to a job interview, and that by then I could speak English. It was a good job. And I arrived, and this guy, he kind of stretched his arm out to greet me with a handshake. And I pulled him and kissed him. And then he looked at me and I could feel his body language changing completely. He got all tense and uptight, and I was thinking, yes. And at the time I thought, oh my goodness, I kissed him.
Cross the line.
He's not used to that. So as soon as I was finished, because then there was no coming back, right? I had pulled the guy, I had to kiss him. And then when I finished, I was like, I'm so sorry. And I had been living in England for quite a while. It was something quite inbuilt in me. And then I said, I'm so sorry. In Brazil, we greet people by kissing them on the cheek, and I wasn't. And then he said, no problem. It's so refreshing. And I could see he was kind of wiping his face off, like, ugh. Yeah. So I kind of got used to no kisses, no hugs, just handshakes.
So,
and then
don't hug people.
Don't hug people. Exactly.
Don't
Wait
kiss people.
Handshakes are more appropriate. Okay. But then I came back to Brazil, and my first job was at Topway. And I arrived at Topway, and I was greeted by no other than Julio. And what did he do? And he was the coordinator of the school. And I was like, handshake mode. So the coordinator likes handshake. And he pulled me and gave me a big hug. And I'm thinking, oh my God, he's hugging me. Oh my God, he's hugging me. What do I do now? It was kind of that. And then I met Cecile. And Cecile is a hugger and a kisser and another hugger and another kiss. And I was like, ah.
Even students.
Exactly. The students too, as they arrived in the school, they liked to hug and kiss. And then came to Brazil and I was there hugging. Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
So it was kind of a reverse culture shock, but at the same time felt natural in some way. It's weird. I don't know how to explain. Reverse culture shock is very weird. It feels like you belong, but you don't belong anymore. It feels like it's your country, but it's not your country anymore. There is even an expression called third culture people. So you're not from one culture where you were born. You're not from the other where you lived. You kind of mixed the two, and you are a third culture person. And there are lots of articles about that. And I see myself as that. Not one nor the other, but a mixture of the two.
It happens with language acquisition as well.
Exactly.
We have our first language. We start learning a second language, and we will never reach that second language native level, but we're going to maybe get close. And then our first language is not the same anymore.
It's not the same anymore.
Knowing a second language turns our first language into something else, and we will never reach there, and off we go. Yeah, sure, I read that. So, at last but not least, you got a compliment. You're very beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Pretend we're not that.
Let's focus. Thank you.
Then we have the last cookies. Biscuits
Oh,
are
Christmas
crackers?
cracker.
Something related to drug dealers? Crack?
No, not crackers, and not like crack, like you are crazy or anything. Christmas crackers are traditional things that they do in during Christmas time in England. I must say, British Christmas traditions are so lovely. They are so much better than Brazilian ones, in my opinion. I'm sorry, guys, but like they have this whole thing about Christmas puddings. They light the Christmas pudding on fire, and they come to the table and it's on fire. So they put like rum on it. Anything you put alcohol on, it's probably good, right? And they light fire on it. It's crazy. It's nice, and they have this wonderful celebrations. Christmas cracker is a big package that you hold one side, I hold the other side, and we pull together. And when it opens, there is usually a joke inside, usually a very bad joke, and a hat. And everybody wears to remember the three kings, right? During when Jesus was born, and the three kings came to visit. So everybody wears the hat. So everybody sits at the table telling these very bad jokes and wearing these horrible hats. For British people who are not exactly outgoing like we are, it's a way to break the ice, right? It's an icebreaker. They tell these really bad jokes and everybody goes like, oh, this is not funny. But because it's not funny, everybody laughs.
But then we laugh.
And everybody's wearing, and they take pictures, and it's a nice moment. I loved it.
So crackers are cardboard tubes wrapped in brightly decorated twists of paper, and when each side gets pulled, and then we have a joke and a hat inside to honor Melchior, Gaspar, and Baltazar.
Good, that's the one.
In English, I don't know how to pronounce their names.
I don't know either. I probably should, because I went to church in England, but I don't know.
In English. Right, Muri. So let's review the 12 steps, the 12 things Brazilians must remember in order to avoid some of the culture shock.
And awkwardness, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's that awkward moment.
Weather. It's a nice conversation topic to start with. Children have bedtime at around 8 p.m. And teenagers after 15, they are supposed to work to pay for their own beers. They're not supposed to
That's it. They're not supposed to.
When you go, table, we talked about a lot about meals. So you get plated exactly what you have to eat.
Exactly.
And there is no much choice. So you eat what you got, and that's it. Right.
They play the food for you.
Say please and thank you or cheers all the time.
Sorry all the time. Sorry, mate.
All the time.
Please.
So
thank you.
If somebody invites you for lunch, probably it's something quick, fast, and maybe even standing somewhere.
Finger food.
Good. And barbecues are not churrasco.
Not picanha. No picanha, guys.
British people love greeting cards. So cards to tell you congratulations for various reasons.
Exactly.
Be punctual, not late. Arrive at places, at events, at the arranged time, on time. On the table, wait for the host to finish plating everybody so we all eat together.
Then you eat together.
So we always eat together. After eating a lot, when you go to the toilet, throw your dirty paper in the toilet. Because there are no bins.
That's it.
So no pockets, please, for goodness sake. They celebrate important people who sacrifice themselves for the freedom they have. So, number 10. 11, greeting people.
Handshake.
These
days people are sort of elbowing people, right? Because they can't even handshake him.
Yeah, now in quarantine time. Do you know any, because you still have friends there that you made long ago decades ago, decades of
That's how we
friendship
don't have much time, I think. Only
with your
4 minutes.
friends. Anyways, but we have 4 minutes. So, do you know any problems? Any British way of dealing with the quarantine?
They are very much like us. I watched a video today that's very confusing, like, don't go out, use a mask, don't use a mask. So it's very confusing. Everybody's trying to find their way around this new virus. Nobody knows the answer, to be honest. Well, their prime minister got the virus.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
What's his name?
They had a lot of Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson.
I think about Brian Johnson, which is the CDC lead singer.
Yeah.
11.
Great people. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Because but I love the hugs now. I love the hugs. I got used to.
Guys, questions. Do you have any questions to throw at Moody? Now it's the time. If you don't have any questions, please say it. And say your final greetings and bye-byes and etc. It's up to you now, guys. We have...
While the questions are arriving, are we going to speak in Portuguese a little bit? Or not?
I guess we can, for sure.
Ok. Vamos falar um pouquinho em português, então, no finalzinho. Acho que o que é importante a gente manter em mente é que cultura não tá certo nem errado.
Ainda tá pensando
manter
em inglês,
em mente. Keep in mind.
Vamos falar manter em mente em português.
Mas é pra gente manter bem fresco na memória da gente, assim fica melhor, né? Cultura não tem certo e não tem errado. Não é mais certo beijar e abraçar do que apertar a mão. Não é mais certo a pessoa esperar todo mundo servido. É questão de cultura, é questão de costume. Quando a gente tá num país diferente, a gente se acostuma com aquele. What do you miss the most? Good question. I think what I miss the most about England is the people, my friends there, obviously, and I think that everything is cheaper there and easier. Like a car is very cheap, clothes are very cheap, everything is so expensive. Food, you can go out and have dinner, buy one get one free. So I go, I pay, Cecil gets free. Next time he pays, I get it free. So it's cheap to eat, it's cheap to go out, it's cheap to buy clothes. Everything is so hard in Brazil, everything is so expensive. So it's this is what I miss the most. Like the life was had a